as a Christian, I've seen believers in my group complain about giving sex to their husband, but it's supposed to be a duty, in my opinion. Is this a problem in Islam? Thank you for the $4.99 donation, Celine.
That's lovely. That's lovely. You know what? Women are trifling all over the world. They be trifling. Listen, there's a video on my channel. It's about vaginismus. So it's not on this topic exactly, but it's about a condition called vaginismus. But we talk in there about the importance of sex education for Muslim women, right? And one of the things that came out of that conversation was, why are we so comfortable taking our husband's desire for us for granted? I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say that again. Why are we as women so comfortable with taking our husband's desire for us for granted?
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't need to want you, sis. He doesn't need to want only you. And most of us, we are hoping that our husband will be faithful to us. You're in a monogamous marriage. You want him to keep it at home, don't you? And yet, you see him wanting to be intimate with you as a chore, as a burden, as something to be flippant about, to be careless with, to be thoughtless with. And I think it is a grave mistake, because I'm sure you're aware of this, right?
Before Sister Naima continues, and I'm going to give my 2 cents here, because I believe that there has been something that has been missed in this conversation that I'm about to touch upon. But these conversations between Muslims and non-Muslims are very useful, actually. And as the comment here has mentioned, I believe that it's a duty, in my opinion. Now, we're going to get to this duty sex thing afterwards, okay? However, in Islam, as you know, as a Muslim woman, unless you have some type of medical condition or some type of reason to excuse you, for example, your menses, you have no shari'i right to deny your husband if he wants to relieve himself with you. Okay? And this is for the greater good of society, because if a woman repeatedly turns her husband away, where do you think he's gonna go? If he doesn't end up at the whorehouse, or if he doesn't end up cheating on you, in the least instance, he's gonna end up developing some type of pornographic addiction of some sort. Perhaps even a masturbation addiction, maybe even both. And from the masturbation addiction comes now erectile dysfunction, in combination, in fact, with the porn addiction, erectile dysfunction as well. Okay? Why erectile dysfunction from masturbation? Well, because the grip that you can apply with your hand is far greater than the orifice of any woman. It's far greater. That tightness that you can apply with your hand is far greater than that of any woman. So once you are actually inside a woman, you can't even get aroused properly. You can't even appreciate her body in that way, because you have accustomed yourself to a much tighter grip. I remember Larry Wheels actually putting a video about this on his channel, how he has been suffering with erectile dysfunction for a number of reasons. He's fallen into a number of vices, and I found his honesty quite... It's difficult to listen to, but I respect him for having that sort of candidness and speaking about it openly, because he is, trust and believe, he is not the only one going through it. And he's an exceptionally strong young man, very, very, like 0.0001%, right at the top of the food chain in terms of strength. And his grip strength in particular is very strong. He calls it the gorilla grip, you know, and he really does have a gorilla grip. And you can imagine what type of negative impact that has had on his erectile capability. No woman is that tight. No woman is that tight.
There's a TED talk on sexless marriages, millions of views, and oh my goodness, when you read the comments under that video, I challenge anybody who's watching this to, after this, go on, find the TED talk on sexless marriages and just read some of the comments, because you've got men there saying, my wife has not touched me for 2 years, for 5 years. For 10 years, she has not allowed me to come close to her. And the loneliness, the humiliation, the sense of feeling unwanted and undesired and just a burden. I can't believe that wives who love their husbands are cool with that. And sis, if you're listening and you have rejected your husband's advances a few times, I have some advice for you, because I remember when I first kind of came to this realization, because nobody told me. I remember there was that podcast with that couple. Do you remember? Oh, the Ellises. I think it's the Ellises, and it went viral because the husband was saying, "Well, how come when I want to be physical with you, you're too tired and you've got all of this stuff going on, but you pushed for marriage, right? You pushed for monogamy, and now that I'm with my needs, it's too much." And she was like, "Nobody ever told me. No one ever told me I was going to have to do that." Right? So, okay, we were maybe not told that this was part of the thing. Maybe we weren't trained up for it. But that physical connection is like food to your husband. And it's like you have a piece of cake in your hand. Your husband is hungry and he says, "May I have some of that cake?" And you say, "No, I don't want you to have it."
Oh, it's just the name of the sisters are going to flip out with that example. They're going to be absolutely fuming. How dare you call me a piece of cake? I can hear it already.
This is in the context of a normal relationship. I'm not talking about an abusive, because people like to always bring, but what if he does this? And what if he never did that? And what if it's,
you don't even have to have those conversations on my platform. Like we beat the exception to the rule today.
Okay. So this thing that you have, right? Firstly, is his right, okay, via the marriage, okay, that you are permissible for each other. You are sacred for each other physically, right? So if you don't want him to go and run off and find someone else or go to porn and stupid stuff like that, then you better get it together.
Shout out to our brother Nasser.
If he does end up going outside, I'm afraid you will have to shoulder some of the blame for that.
Excellent. I'm glad Sister Naima has mentioned that, actually, because I didn't watch this entire clip. I just saw the first minute. And she's absolutely right. Look, it's an urge. It's a carnal urge, like eating, like drinking, like sleeping. Sex is one of those urges. And if it doesn't have its outlet, its required outlet, it's going to find ways to express itself in other ways, and usually those ways are perverted ways, whether it's through pornography or whether it's through masturbation, as I mentioned, whether it's through visiting a brothel or whether it's through entertaining a haram relationship. And once again, we can actually bring in here the need, the requirement, the benefit of a no strings nikah setup. We can actually talk about that as well, because it's not just the brothers who are struggling with this. There are actually sisters. I have them in my inbox. All right. I've been divorced for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 children. I'm struggling to find a man who will take me on full time in a conventional marriage. And yet I have these needs, these urges. What do I do, brother? I'm this close to haram, or I've already committed haram, or I've actually committed zina with my ex-husband. Bruv, don't ask me. These are the conversations I'm having. But that's going off on a tangent. The point here is this. If there is not an outlet for it, it will express itself in weird and perverse ways. Now, there is another more important question that I would like to pose, that I would love to pose both to Sister Naima and the lady on Femme Sapien. I don't actually know her name. I first actually came across her through a podcast with, what's his name? Sosnick, the Soscast. Very interesting podcast. I liked how she shut down the boss girl, boss babe girl that was on there. And that is, the question that I would like to pose is, why are so many women so reluctant to have physical intimacy with their husband? It's one thing telling them that they should do it, and I'm in agreement. But if we want to, take that, if we want to take that conversation a level further and a layer deeper, we must ask ourselves, why are they holding out on their husbands? And that is what I am going to address shortly.
And you can't make him to be the bad guy. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, I hope people go and watch the video, actually, because the second thing is that if you do a reframe, look at most of us. When we look at ourselves in the mirror, we're not perfect, okay? Most of us are not 10s. Most of us are not even 8, 9, 7s, right?
Right.
So most of us are not 10s. We're not 9s, 8s, or even 7s, right? Most of us are average. And if you've had some children, then you've got other stuff going on. Okay, you may have stretch marks, your boobs may be going south, you've got a bit of belly on you, you may have cellulite, whatever the case may be. He still wants you. He still thinks you're hot. He still wants to be physical with you. Like, which part of that is not a gift? Obviously, right. We need to reframe, right? And instead of seeing his desire as a burden and a chore, see it as a compliment. See it as an invitation, right? To pleasure, to explore.
I like that. I like that reframe. Instead of seeing it as a burden or a chore, see it as a compliment. I like that. That's good, mashallah.
To connection. We need to do a lot of reframing because a lot of it is up here. But that's what I would say in answer to that question, which was a very good question, by the way.
All right. Very good conversation, very important conversation. And it seems that both Naima and the lady hosting the podcast are both in agreement that if your husband wants sex from you, you should oblige him. That's all well and good, and the religion of Al-Islam is in agreement with this. However, I wish to take this discussion a step further, okay? Because as our brother Nasir Al-Alamin mentioned, his comment was brought up, is that he deals with a lot of marriages, Muslim marriages that are sexless. And the definition of sexless marriage, by the way, is less than once a month. Okay, less than once a month, you are now officially in a sexless marriage, or less than 12 times a year. Why are these women holding out on their husbands? Well, let's address the obvious first, because before we get to the meat of what I really want to talk about, and this is where the RP lens becomes so crucial and important, we need to rule out the more obvious factors. For example, first we must consider that a man's testosterone level, which is the primary hormone responsible for sexual arousal, not the only hormone, but the primary hormone responsible for sexual arousal and sexual desire, is 12 to 17, or even in some instances 12 to 20 times greater than that of a woman. Okay, which means that men are going to be more desirous, physically desirous of women than vice versa. I've addressed this many times in the past. Okay, it's the reason why men form the majority of users on dating apps. It's the reason why men are more inclined to simping, quote unquote, because they are quite literally thinking with the little head as opposed to the big one. It is what it is. That desire is quite overwhelming. Whereas women are more able to, you've got post-nut clarity. You've heard of that? Well, there is also a term that I've made up, which is called pre-nut confusion. And men suffer from pre-nut confusion, which is where their balls are so full of the white stuff that it affects their ability to deal with a woman in a more rational manner, or in a manner that would be more conducive towards getting the result he wants. So there's that. Secondly, I would recommend, if a woman is in a situation where she doesn't desire her husband much, and he desires her considerably more than what she desires him, just get your hormone levels checked out. It's unlikely that anything is wrong with them, but just get them checked out anyway, because we want to go through a process of elimination. Maybe your hormones are really completely off. Maybe your thyroid's going crazy, or maybe your estrogen levels have just crashed. I don't know. Better to get them checked out, because if there is an issue there, then at least you can go about checking them and then rectifying the issue accordingly. Okay? If that's not a problem, then we slowly progress down the ladder of different issues. Okay? The next issue could be, my husband is too needy of me, too desirous of me, to the point where it gives me the ick. You've heard girls use this term before, the ick. And now I would say to the men who find themselves in a situation whereby their women are feeling icky towards them is, pull back. Pull back. Let her come towards you just a little bit, because you might be suffocating her because you're so physically needy or desirous. It is now translating into you being needy across the board and many other things, maybe needy emotionally, maybe in her space all the time, and you're just too in her face. Women want to come towards you. They truly want to come towards you. They'll tell you, oh, we want a man to conquer us and so on. She wants to come towards you. She wants to feel like she needs you more than you need her. This is very important. Men want women Women need men. Back in the day, a woman's survival depended upon a man, and her attraction is intimately connected to how much she feels she needs you. She needs to need you. And her attraction is intimately connected to this. And this is not just connected to how much money you have. You could be broke and she still feels like she really needs you. It's more connected to your frame and game. What's your frame and game like? Do you give her that space so that she can come to you? You've heard me quote The Passion Trap, a book that I've mentioned in the past, where there are one up and one down dynamics. And when one partner is two up and the other partner is two down, this is where we have a passion trap dynamic. But the best situation is where you're roughly evenly balanced, but slightly towards your favor as a man. You're more one up and she's more one down. And this is complementary. This will solidify in her mind that she has made the correct hypergamous choice. She should feel like she needs you more than you need her. And this will satisfy her. This is not unhealthy. This is good. So then we come to the main issue, which is, have you pedestalized her? Have you demeaned yourself and minimized yourself to the point now where she sees you as someone whom you are about choice? She sees you as someone whereby she could have made a better choice than you because of your constant need to pedestalize her and raise her status, and oftentimes at the expense of minimizing and even making a mockery of yourself. You know, Homer Simpson, basically. Just think of Homer Simpson. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm such a Dumbo. I can't believe I got... You know what? It made me really sad, man. When I was listening to Jordan Peterson's podcast with his father, man... It was sad because it was a really good podcast, but then when Jordan asked his father, you know, how did you go about marrying mum? And he was like, oh, I asked many times and she rejected me and I don't even know why she married me in the end. It was probably the biggest mistake of her life. These are all classic beta moves. The beta thinks that by speaking like this, I will make a woman more attracted to me because I've demeaned myself. Actually, what she thinks is, God, maybe you're right. Maybe you are a bumbling idiot. Maybe I did make a mistake. Never, ever do that. It does not satisfy her hypergamous urges to tell her that she was an idiot for marrying you. It's an insult. It's an absolute insult. And even Jordan, man, he was like, yeah, I asked Tammy to marry me 4 or 5 times. She rejected me. Bruv. What would have likely happened in the end there is that she saw that Jordan was going places and she thought, you know what? Let me get on this ride. This ride is going places, and you know, it was. So your frame, fix your frame. And on that note, gentlemen, if you are going through an issue like this in your marriage, you are welcome to book a consultation with me. You can email me. The links are in the description of this video. Let me know what you guys think. Did I miss something? Did I get it right? Do you know someone who's going through this or something similar to this? Comment, let me know in the comments box below. Share this with someone who could benefit, and make sure you like the video on your way out. Assalamu alaikum.